Welcome to Complicated Opportunities, a Cosmere RPG podcast with a couple of GMs. And this week, we actually have a guest that's going to be joining us. So I'm going to turn it over to Irving to let him introduce our guest.
Yeah, with us today we have Edgedancing Through Life, a content creator for the Cosmere on Instagram and I believe TikTok. She will correct me in a moment here. And also one of the cast members of the Cosmere Celeb One Shot that you can find on the channel, Shard of Opportunity, run by our very own Tyler. Edgedancing Through Life, also known as me. How would you like to introduce yourself to the people?
Hi, my name is me. This is interesting because I didn't have an account last year at Nexus, and so I was really curious when I went to Nexus this year. I was like, what are people gonna call me? And I much more commonly got Edge Dancing Through Life, but so maybe I'll just own that. For a shorter name, you can call me Mi. But I will say my heart soared into like the atmosphere every time I heard Edge Dancing Through Life because the name just combines the two things I love most, which is Brandon Sanderson and Broadway. It's a play on Wicked, Dancing Through Life.
Oh.
So I'm like, makes me so happy. I actually made it as a Discord username when I was still a lurker. And so when I decided to start an account, I just had to keep it because it just makes me happy. But yeah, my name is Me. I'm so happy to be here and chatting with you both.
Thank you so much. Kyle, did you know that was a Wicked
I
reference?
kind of assumed it was, but I didn't know. Like, I just kind of assumed.
Okay.
So I'm glad to know I actually can understand context every once in a while.
It is amazing how many people don't. Like, on its own, I guess it can be kind of cute, like Dancing Through Life. Like, think about Lift and her irreverent attitude, but yeah, it's always fun. When someone I've known for a year is like, oh, it's Wicked.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like Wicked, but I've only seen it once, so I didn't
I still have
know
yet to
that.
see the play, but we did watch the first movie, and we're waiting for the second one to hit streaming services to watch it. So
I like the stage play. I have not seen the movie yet.
awesome.
I don't know
Both
if I
are
really
good.
want to.
Both are good.
Oh, that's good to hear. Now tell us a little bit about what you do on the internet.
Yeah, sure. So what I do on the internet is just be weird, I think is the best way to put it. My Instagram bio, I have a quote from my dad who has never read the Cosmere and doesn't understand what I do, but is so happy for me because he's a nice person and he's just like, you are out of control, but not in a bad way. And I think that that's probably how I can best describe my account. My favorite videos to do are ones where I basically like make a character from Brandon Sanderson's universes, play out like a song from a Broadway musical or scene from a Broadway musical, or Taylor Swift songs I also like to do. And I just basically, and I did K-pop Demon Hunters a bit, and then I branch out because those are very work intensive skits to record and perform. So even though
I
they
can
bring
only
me the most
imagine.
joy, I would post like once a month if I did only that. So sometimes I just yap about books that I like. Sometimes I'll do PowerPoint presentations. Sometimes I'll do collaborations with other people. I am not creative enough to come up with memes. And I basically just find joy. And I think a very important thing about my account is that RIP Party City. Party City went out of business basically as I was creating my account, which means I have no fewer than 40 wigs in my household. Most of them that I got for cheap from like Party Cities that were liquidating. So that also explains why I can even play as many characters as I do, because I just have a bunch of really, really strange looking wigs. And yeah, I just find a lot of joy in smashing together my hyperfixations, very low fidelity cosplay, and finding other people that resonates with. It just
Now,
makes my heart really happy.
I don't know if you're allowed to say low fidelity cosplay. Folks, for those who don't know, Me has done an incredible Urithiru cosplay and
Oh, that's
also
fair.
a very good Kelsier cosplay.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's so
Uh,
funny. I consider my Kelsey low fidelity, so I appreciate that. Although I
no, I
guess
thought
I
it was
upgraded the
great.
Miss Cloak. Miss
Yeah.
Cloak used to be a $4 children's cloak from Party City that I just cut with scissors. So I guess I learned to sew in order to make a Miss Cloak, make my
Yeah.
dreams come true. So I guess the Miss Cloak does kind of elevate it.
I saw someone, and this is recently, who crocheted a Miss Cloak.
Oh my gosh, I saw that too.
And I sent that to Nikki because she's getting into crocheting, and I was just like, hey, you should try this out.
Yeah, no, it was so it just every single tassel is crocheted. I just couldn't stop staring at it.
Yeah, it was incredible. So back to an earlier point of a lot of your content is sort of mashing up musical theater and Cosmere characters. Who's your favorite Cosmere character, and what musical would you cast them in?
So my favorite Cosmere character is Kelsey. If I'm like held at knife point and have to like tell the truth on a lie detector test, I would actually say Kaladin, post Wind and Truth.
Okay.
Yeah, Wind and Truth made Kaladin solidify my favorite character in the Cosmere. I do not think
Wow.
Kaladin would do theater. I do think Kelsey would do theater, and I would actually, I would absolutely cast him as Odysseus in Epic the Musical, which is not a stage show yet. But hopefully will be someday. And I think that there are a lot of parallels between Kelsey and Odysseus, and I think Kelsey would eat that role up.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I see that.
Well, I definitely don't need to go into my
Uh,
Kelsier fan theory, but I'll let you know later what I think Kelsier's future in the Cosmere.
Ooh,
well,
ooh,
Kyle, you
okay.
also have some experience with theater. What character would you cast in a
Oh
stage
man,
play?
I would put this is probably oh man, you put me on the spot. Uh, see, I would
Yeah.
want to see Adolin. I don't know that it would be a stage play though, but like I would want to see Adolin in something like I'm just such a sucker for like She's All That. Like that movie was like resonated with my soul in like middle school.
Is that one of
That
the like teen movie, but it's actually Shakespeare
No, that
from
would
the
be
90s?
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, which actually Kaladin would be hysterical in that in the role reversal, where if there
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
a woman chasing Kaladin and he had to play the guy that was like, "Please just leave me alone," that would actually be outstanding. Now that you say
yeah.
that,
I mean, that's basically the plot of Rhythm of
yep,
War, isn't it?
yep. So that would also be a good option. Adolin's just such the like. She's All That's the Freddie Prinze Jr. with I cannot believe I can't remember the actress's name.
Oh, I've seen this one. This was a favorite of my
But like
mother's.
it's a little bit it gives me that Adolin Shallan vibes where Shallan's like, I don't deserve him, and he's like, what are you talking about? Like it would be hysterical. Like I could watch that rom-com all day long. So because I am such an Adolin
Amazing.
stan, it's not even funny. Which is even funnier because I kind of hated him after I read Way of Kings. And then by the end of Wind and Truth, like he is Kaladin's my favorite character, but Adolin is a close second. So
I Adolin's amazing, and I also think that that's common. Like, I mean, he's kind of I really admired Adolin's affection for his dad and his like really his belief and desire to stand up to his dad and admit when he was wrong. Um, but he is a womanizer, which is not something that I love in my fictional men. And so I feel like not liking him after the first book, maybe even the second book, is a very reasonable
there's
take.
definitely
I feel like he's such an unintentional womanizer, though.
That's fair.
Maybe I'm an
That's fair.
apologist for
No,
Adolin, but I love him.
I love him so
once him and
much. I think that's fair.
Shallan get introduced, it's just like that relationship to me is just written so well. And maybe I probably am not the
Mhm.
expert at relationships in books, but like I just get a kick out of it every single time I see it. So yeah, I want to see their rom com for sure.
My friend is reading through Oathbringer for the first time, and I feel like Brandon Sanderson has a little bit of a reputation for like not being good at writing romance, but I've never seen it that way. And so my friend who's reading for the first time, she's mid Oathbringer, and she has said multiple times, she's like, I just love how Brandon writes romance. Like she specifically sees one of Brandon's strengths as romance writing, which I agree with. The Navani and Dalinar in that book versus Adolin and Shallan in that book, it's so good. It's all so good.
And it's cool seeing how he's grown with that because like Vin and Eland, I think the idea was there for a good romance, but I don't know that he had the
Mm-hmm.
skill to write it at that point. So it's cool to see
It's fair.
the growth in that in his skill as well. It's so weird that we're reading these books over 20 years that we're all starting to notice like how Brandon has grown as a writer, which is I feel weird for me to say, but yeah.
I think it's really cool. So how did you get your start with the Cosmere fandom? Me?
That's so kind of a story in two parts. The first is my son is a little over 3 years old, and I was up all hours of the night, either feeding him or changing his diaper or just like rocking with him, begging the gods to um, have this tiny shrieking baby fall asleep. And I wanted something to do that wasn't on my phone because all I was doing was like making late night purchases on Amazon. And so I was like, oh, I should read a book. And at that point, I'd been a big reader as a kid, but I wasn't reading regularly because it was super hard for me to find a book to enjoy. And then once I found it, I would just like finish it in a day. You just swallow it whole.
Mhm.
And then it would take another 9 months for me to find another book. So my friend Maggie had been asking me or has been suggesting Brandon Sanderson for a minute now. And I knew he wrote really long books. I thankfully got it on a Kindle because first time I ever saw those books in person, I was like, oh, I know I would have never read these if I had ever seen them in person. But I got it on Kindle. And then I finished Mistborn, the first era of the Mistborn trilogy. It absolutely just rocked my world, changed my life. I spent my maternity leave with my son, basically swallowing the Cosmere whole. I was up all the time, and I like to joke that I lost more sleep because of the Sanderlanches than actually my son, because my son kind of figured out how to fall asleep, but I was up until 4 a.m. reading the Sanderlanches. And so that, and then I probably unsurprisingly have ADHD. So I hyperfixated on everything Cosmere, and my friends and my husband has actually been a Brandon Sanderson fan for like a decade. And then we have another couple who, including the woman who recommended Brandon Sanderson to me. And so the four of us got to chat about it a lot, slowly got some of our friends to read it too. And basically became my entire personality, like in my friend group. And so then in 2024, I decided I wanted to go to Nexus. I went by myself. I didn't know anyone. But I was just like, I'm obsessed with Brandon Sanderson. Of course, I'm going to find a way to go to the Brandon Sanderson convention. And then again, hyperfixating, had this weird idea to dress up as a building. I was like, what's like a weird cosplay I can do? Why don't I dress up as a building? And so I spent many hours re-listening to the Stormlight archive to prepare for Wind and Truth releasing, and just spent many hours tracing out Ben McSweeney's art onto EVA foam. And when I got to Nexus, it was kind of a hit. And it's a little hard for me to talk about it because I don't want to have like false modesty, but I also don't want to sound like a jerk. And so basically got a lot of attention. and and it was just a really special moment for me. One, because attention is nice, people being kind is nice. But even more than that, it was me being as weird as possible, and then not just having the idea like, oh, that was cool, but like fully embraced in a way that in my life I had only experienced from my closest friends, like my closest people many who I found later in life, my husband included, not later in life, but he was someone who accepts me unconditionally. But to have a community accept me that way at my weirdest was so life changing, and I can't even put into words how much it means. I might cry if I try. So
That's a-okay. We cry here.
after that, I thought this was the funny thing. It was my first con, so like learning a lot of things. People kept asking me if I had an Instagram, and I did not. And then afterwards, sorry, I'm almost done. This is kind of a long story. Feel free to cut anything out that you need to. But I also had attended a panel that a few Cosmere creators were on. So it was ADHD Projects, Steve from Raffo, Bookborn, and Stormlight Memes. And two things stuck out to me from that panel. The first is that ADHD Projects, Aman was saying that he would just want to watch anybody who's excited about something. Like, no matter what subject matter it is, when people are passionate, they're inherently interesting. Then Bookborn and Stormlight Memes, and the other panelists too, really emphasize that there should be more women in the Cosmere space and in the fantasy space in general. And the easiest way that happens is when more female creators step up and create accounts. So between finding a community that I felt fully accepted me at my weirdest and at my most myself, wow, poetry, and being encouraged generally to create an account because women should create accounts, and trying to find a way to stay connected to this beautiful community, that's when I formed my account. and it's been a crazy year since
Yeah, I didn't
then.
realize.
Well,
I didn't realize last
awesome.
year was your first convention or Nexus because it was my first Nexus. It wasn't my first convention. Your theory of cosplay definitely stood out because I remember saying hello to you just to be like, "Holy crap, that cosplay is amazing!" Did not realize that was your first convention. That's wild and super creative to step out in that way at a convention. Like I can't. I barely knew what I was doing walking around, and you're like, "I'm going to cosplay a building." That's awesome.
Thank you. You know, it actually helps so much with my social anxiety though, because I already had something to talk about with people. Like they'd be like, I like your costume. And I'd say, I like your costume. And then we'd start talking about Wind and Truth. And it was just like a really nice icebreaker. So it was almost easier to go and cosplay because it was like a built in icebreaker.
Nice.
Yeah, I kind of my first time cosplaying was this year too, and like I did a really cheap, lazy cosplay, but like yeah, it was nice as an icebreaker of like, yeah, it's this easy thing to talk about that's very on the surface, and you don't have to like worry about making conversation with new people.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it connects to something like there's a reason that you chose. What did you cosplay as?
We did Breeze and Alrianne, and like
Awesome.
Nikki
Is that
looked
what you
great.
wore the third day? I definitely saw you and Nikki at one point in your Breeze and Ariane cosplay. What day did you cosplay? Did you do all 3 days?
No, it was the first day. We were Breeze and Alrianne, and I remember we ran into you, and you were filming something with the lady who did the Lord Ruler cosplay.
Oh, yes. Okay, Ghost
Um,
Buddies. That's Emily.
yeah,
Yep. Okay. I was like, I definitely saw you guys dressed as Breeze and Ariane. Okay, that's so
yeah,
fun.
but it was such a blur. Now it sounds like you kind of had a busy year going from like, hey, here's my first con, here's one of my first like cosplays, to having this account, having sort of like enough that I had heard of you before I met you, and then also getting into the RPG and guest starring in the one shot.
So crazy.
Yeah,
Can't
yeah.
I
Did you
can't
meet
even wrap my brain
Tyler
around
at
it.
Nexus? Did you meet Tyler and Brooke at Nexus in 2024?
Nope, we just connected through generally being in this space, and I think Tyler and Book are just two of the most wonderful people in the world, and I love their podcasts, love them as humans, and this was really cool because it was cool because I went from, again, not knowing anyone in 2024 to in 2025, I was, like, meeting a lot of my friends for the first time. And I think I was most encouraged by how seamlessly the online relationships translated into like comfortable companionship in person. That was a really special surprise for me, and Tyler and Brooke were included in that.
Nice. What was your experience with RPGs before playing uh,
Yeah.
in the one shot?
So I had two exactly. I had the first was I have three younger brothers, and two of them have been on the same D&D campaign together with their friends for years.
Oh,
And then my
wow.
baby brother, who is in his mid-20s, I shouldn't call my baby brother, but he is just now starting to look into DMing. Like he asked for books on it for Christmas last year, and so he's starting to explore that. So I have been adjacent to their excitement about it for a while, though I didn't know anything about it. And then trying to think, and then I think this was middle of last year, but there's a creator who goes by the name Tien's Rock Collection on Instagram, and he
Oh,
actually set up a one shot, and it was me and Mo and another Instagram user named Catboy Adolin, and Tan's Rec Collection just created this one shot of Middlefest and Urithiru based on the CosmereRPG guidelines for that. And
yeah.
so he helped me create a character for that, but it was also just a one shot, and I didn't know what I was doing. And those are my two only experiences with the
And
CosmereRPG
then
before
this
this
long six
super
hour.
long one shot. Yes.
Well, how did you find it? Like, what was your general opinion of that process? Do you think you'd do it again? Do you have much opinion on like what you think of tabletop RPGs in general or the Cosmere RPG in specific?
Yeah, I think I guess I'll answer this a couple ways. The first is that I absolutely understand the appeal. I understand why it's so fun. I understand why there is such a huge culture around it. I understand how much joy it brings and how fun it is to get to like actually find a way to step into and play in the worlds that you really love. I am still, even after doing all of the preparation and going through the one shot, I'm still very confused about a lot of things
That's
and very
A-okay.
overwhelmed by a lot of things. And I studied, man, Tyler is the best. He sent me so many resources. He and Ross were so amazing about providing characters, providing builds, having session zeros to help us prepare. And I actually met with my younger brothers and I said, okay, what are the faux pas with tabletop RPGs? Like, what should I avoid? What is kind of like cultural taboo? And like, I did so much research, like, watched a Shard of Opportunity. And I still, the second I got there, there was one point where I was about to roll and Tyler just saw the panic in my eyes and he said, do you want me to roll for you? I was like, yes, please. So yeah, I, but I loved it. So I think I loved it. I understand it. Well, I understand why others love it, which is a great gift. It's always fun to step into other people's passion. I think
Mhm.
that if I were to play it again, my annoying answer is like, I will only ever play it again if I'm with Tyler because Tyler was just so helpful. And but
That's
Tyler's
good.
also like one of the most probably desirable popular GMs ever. So it's a very I don't know how successful that would be. But no, he was just so he's just so supportive through it. And so I think that I would do it with a similarly kind GM who is willing to help me out a lot.
Yeah. No,
Playing
that
it
makes
itself
sense.
was super fun.
Good, good. Yeah, that's kind of the community we're trying to foster is like people who are new to GMing but can go forward and do it with like kindness and understanding for new players and even not new players. Because I just think that's important to the hobby in general as someone who like it very much has a longer background in tabletop RPGs than I do in the Cosmere, even though they're approaching similar length at this point. Uh, that it's an important thing, and it is nice that he helped you out. A little dirty, like they threw you into level 6, right? Like right away. That like that's complicated.
Okay, that does make me feel better. I was like, I don't
Yeah.
remember being this I don't remember Middlefest being this complicated.
Well, do you remember what level that was?
Oh, I think it was like I think it's one of the if I remember correctly, which I probably don't, it's like an entry. It's like an entry beginner scenario. Um,
Yeah. Let me.
yeah, I don't.
Okay. Google searching just brings up the actual Middlefest fair, but either way, like yeah, I can see that being a very good intro. I've started a lot of campaigns at sort of like spring equinox fair type things,
Oh,
so
cool.
that
No, that
makes
one was super
sense.
fun. This
Yeah.
level 6, I think, and the thing is too, is I was probably the most inexperienced person there.
Yeah.
So a lot of the other celebrities had played RPGs and it was like they were amazing to watch. Like Jack Supertoast was had the funniest character. Ross, the senior designer of the game, just an absolute delight to watch him play with his flying chawl. Starlight Memes had played it before. I don't think Cosmere Junkie had played it before, but he was phenomenal. And then Bookborn, when I think about the Cosmere RPG and all of its possibilities, I specifically think of how Bookborn played it because she was a little old lady who was a Fabrial scientist. The ways she used Fabrials in combat just blew my mind. It was so interesting to watch her and all of the choices she made. So
Oh
I
yeah.
I think that
That
level 6 worked as far as other people getting to shine. I just had no idea what I was doing, so I just really tried to ham up my character play.
well, Tuna was great. We all appreciate her. Um, no, I anyone who plays like a Fabrial character, like props to them. They're very inventive and creative people. I know I would barely be able to get by
Yeah, it's not something I've been
doing
able
that.
to really wrap my head around well. If like there's one area of the Cosmere RPG that I'm still struggling with, it is the Fabrials for sure. So yeah, it was pretty cool to watch from our end. But I would not have known that you were that new to playing by watching. Like Tuna was a blast. So yeah, no, like props to you for putting yourself out there and stepping into a game that's like, hey, it's level 6. I'm on here with the senior designer and other players that have been doing this for a while. So yeah, no, kudos to you for doing that.
And everyone could not have been nicer. Everyone was just so great. Ross was so great. I think too he had like the pre-made characters and mainline just basically he called it Shardbow Machine Gun. It was
Yep.
also very easy to execute. And then my brothers, when I talked to them and I sent them over, they've never read the Cosmere, but I sent them over all of the briefs and everything. And so one of my brothers just coached me. He's like, I think that I want you to have fun. And then I want you to just like really, really like the value add that you're going to bring is playing the character. I was like, I can do that. I have a Slavic background. I can do a Russian accent for tuna and I can be a ham. And everyone else is very nice to me about the things I cannot do.
Well, you did a great job. And like, so we had an interview with Ross at Nexus that will be coming out, by the time this releases, it'll be out there. But when we're recording, it's coming out in like a week. And so we talked a little bit about his character builds because both Kyle and I tested the one shot for Tyler.
Oh,
And so we
cool.
looked at those character builds, and Ross is just such an inventive guy with those. How did it feel like jumping? Like you had the pre-made character, which probably made it a little easier, but even as one of the easier ones, I think like they're still fairly complex. How did you feel about the approachability and ease to learn of the game?
The approachability was definitely there. The approachability was definitely there because of Ross. And so I I tried to build my own character at first. Like I knew I wanted to have an Unkalaki person because of the Russian accent. And I was like, I can do that reliably. And yeah, I'm trying to like think through all he even organized it. He had these character builds and he also organized it by level of difficulty to play. So I saw Unkalaki level 2 difficulty, and after trying and failing to make my own character, it was so helpful to step in. And I still got to do like her backstory and character work, which that felt much more natural to me. Like a writing background, storytelling background, never played RPGs before. So I got to play there and be creative there. But the pre made characters, if I were to play the Cosmere RPG again, I would absolutely play one of the pre made characters for um, a future campaign or a future one shot because it was wonderful when I got to ask Ross beforehand. I said, okay, if you were playing this role, how would you play through a turn? And I probably only retained about 50% of it, but it was still really helpful to have someone who just knows the game inside out and thought through in depth what would make for a fun, enjoyable combat to both play and watch. And to get to step into that and benefit from that was a treat. So pre-made all the way, especially if pre-made by Ross.
Yeah, yeah. If we could just get a collection of Ross pre-made characters,
Yes.
that would be great.
What characters did you play when you tested it out?
Oh, so I read through his characters and I was like, all right, these are inventive and crazy. I love them. I ended up doing an agent build that was all about using opportunities and getting the additional deadly trait on your knives and slings to cause injuries. I called him Jimmy the Bav, and I just did like a bad Cockney accent, and or maybe I
Amazing.
slipped into New Jersey because I can't help it.
Yeah, I played I
Yeah,
forget what he called it. I want to say it was the Dire Blade. Basically, I was a dire form
yeah.
singer that took like one tick into a radiant just so I didn't have to do a discipline check every single round. But basically, my goal was just to swing a shard blade as hard as humanly possible, or I guess singerly possible.
Amazing.
Um, yeah, so I was just literally out there trying to do as much damage as I could.
But again, like he comes up with great character builds. Now, I know you said that like you definitely want to do a one shot or a pre-made character. Which Cosmere series would you be most interested in exploring in a tabletop RPG setting?
Well, I think it would be so fun to be on Pachi. Um, the Isles of
Ooh.
the Emberdark. Like, I think it would be so fun to be a trapper. Um, yeah, I think it would be really, really fun to be a trapper on Pachi. I know this is non Cosmere, but I love Skyward. I don't know how space play. This is a question for you all. So, have both of you read
I
Skyward?
have.
Or for putting you on the spot there.
I
Have you
haven't
read
read it, but I don't mind a spoiler.
Okay, it's not too much of a spoiler, just like it's sci-fi. It's a YA sci-fi, and so a lot of it, like probably Skyward gives it away, but a lot of it, the fighting, the combat are ships. in outer space, in the atmosphere. And so how would that translate to a tabletop RPG or an RPG? How is that possible? Is flight
It's possible and tricky.
is it fun?
Just like, because
Sometimes.
you
Uh,
play a decent amount of the Star Wars RPG.
yeah, so when we both have the D20 Star Wars RPG in common. I've played the narrative dice system one. I've also played a game called Traveler, which is like almost more powered by the Apocalypse, the 2D6 system. It really depends. Sometimes it can be really boring, and it's kind of on like the GM as a narrator to make it interesting, because fundamentally ship-based combat works like an endeavor in the Cosmere RPG, where it's like, hey, you're making these tests to see how you're handling the ship, how you're using the tools at your disposal, because you can't get up there and physically punch the other guy.
Got it. Yeah. The
Yeah.
more also too, I feel like I think actually there might be a way to make Skyward in later books interesting, but I feel like the combat itself is very straightforward. You turn, you shoot, do an Alstrom loop. Maybe that would not be very interesting. So I think I'm gonna go with Patchy. Being a trapper on Patchy, I think would be really fun to
I mean,
play.
looking
Yeah.
forward, Irving and I are both really excited for Brotherwise to release like the underlying system, Plot Weaver,
Hmm.
and they said
Yeah.
it next as one of the settings they're looking at as a sci-fi setting. Um, so like
Okay.
I'm sure there would be a way to finagle Skyward onto that pretty easily. Plus, I mean, they've got to be thinking about it in general because you know eventually Brandon has said that we're going to get a cosmic Cosmere where people will have like fighter jets and stuff like that in space. So like I'm sure the way Brotherwise
Mhm.
thinks forward, they've got to be thinking of do that. But Pagi would be awesome, like
Yeah.
because the Unkalaki are already kind of built towards that anyway. So like if you start adding in the magic system too and the AVR, I can't wait to see how they do the AVR and the RPG.
Gosh, yeah. And I just feel
Yeah.
like, yeah, it would be so the different monsters to fight and like the ways you have to be clever to fight them, I think would be really fun.
Yeah, I
Explore.
because there's the like jungle cats that sense your brainwaves, right? That's one
Hmm.
of like I forget what they're actually called, but it
Don't
would be
have I don't have
interesting
a
to
brain for this.
yeah, it'd be interesting to make that a game mechanic, just of like, oh, what do you use to signify like your brain being active or like your
Ooh.
investiture signature?
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, you lots of things to think about. On the note of like spaceships, I think that'll be the thing that takes them the most time to iron out, if I had to guess.
Oh, I would think so.
Because ship-based combat is always difficult. Even, traditional D&D doing like sailing, it's not like normal combat. So just one of those things that like definitely is a little difficult. Um,
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've hit most of our notes. A little like just a personal curiosity. So your first cosplay, Eurytheru. Next was Kelsier. What's the next big cosplay you're thinking about doing?
Oh man. So the next big cosplay I was going to do, I was actually going to do it this year, and then I was feeling really stressed out, and I was like, you know what? I just need to let Irithiru just be the moment that connected me to the fandom, and just let it be a thing that lives on its own, and not something I have to like one up every year. So
Yeah,
I was Kelsier, and then I made a shirt for Friday that I wore, and it literally just it's completely black, and it just says in white letters, "I like Brandon Sanderson" on it. 'Cause in my mind, that was like the complete opposite from your Ethereum, and I was like, I just need to play it super chill this year. But what I wanted to do, and what I will save for a future year when I'm doing it out of joy and not anxiety, is I really want to go as Shadesmar. Like I was like trying
what?
to explore like what is I was trying to explore that same part of my brain that was like, what's a weird funky thing to try? And I just kept coming back to Shadesmar. The struggle that I ran into in planning it for Nexus is I had like sketches. I have been working on it conceptually, like theoretically, but I was having a lot of trouble making it distinctly Shadesmar. Like when you see the Urithiru outfit, it's a very distinctive looking building. You're like,
Hmm.
okay, yeah, that's Urithiru. But Shadesmar is an ocean of black beads, and so I had some things on there. Like I was gonna do like crystal trees on my shoulders, and maybe even do something with lights to have like those flames in the beads and stuff like that. But one that's a skill level I don't have at the moment. And so I have to work up to that. I just bought a sewing machine this year. And the other
Oh,
thing
okay.
too is it was hard to hard to make it. I want when people see it for them to say, "Oh my gosh, it's Shadesmar." Like she's dressed up as Shadesmar. And it's hard to do it without looking like I'm wearing like just a black beaded dress, or even a high spread that's all like black and not beaded, but still, I think I was having a lot of trouble. I was having a lot of trouble with mapping the distinct or making it distinct, like distinctly Shadesmar. And
Yeah.
so I'll keep noodling on that. And once I feel like I have the answer, I will go to Nexus dressed as Shadesmar.
All right, you'll have to let me know which Nexus that is, so we definitely get tickets.
Oh, that's so sweet. I absolutely will. I will. Maybe I'll figure it out by next year. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I think my only thought is you have to like break the human silhouette. Like you can't have a normal person
Ah,
silhouette.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think that's how it has to be done.
How you do that, not sure, but like that's my thought.
Huh.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and chatting with us today. Where can
Thank you
people
for
find
having
you?
me. You can find me on Instagram and I almost said Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at edgedancing underscore through underscore life. And I think I have a YouTube channel, but YouTube scares me a little bit. So I only leave comments through YouTube. But yeah, I think I'm mostly on Instagram. I think my humor is a little too millennial for TikTok. And I also
Yeah.
love posting stories and polls and collaborating on Instagram too. So I would say that's my main channel. But thank you so much for having me. It's always a delight to talk about anything Cosmere related.
Yeah. It super fun to have you on here. Enjoyed your I guess role as Tuna on the Cosmere one shot, and you're just such a lovely person that once we met you in person, it was like, all right, I want to talk to this person. They are like instantly friend shaped. So thank you so much.
So sweet. I feel the same. And yes, running through the airport together to catch our connecting flight
Oh
was
God.
a memory
Yeah.
that I wish I didn't have, but it was like trauma bonding. Still
Yeah.
a core memory.
Yeah, there you go. But thank you so much. And Kyle, if you want to take us away.
Well, and I want to say thank you as well. I know we didn't get to talk as much at Nexus or in the airport, but it was a pleasure meeting you, and thank you so much for coming on. But with that, let's go ahead and roll our plot die and raise the stakes. This has been Complicated Opportunities.
Woo.
Awesome.
And that's it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so